All right, welcome to, for sure, our YouTube audiences. And we've been recording here a pre-show with World of Ability Podcast Network and our guests here today. I'm Kurt Roskopf. I'll be your host as usual. And we have our podcasting engineers. We have our duo, Sue Roskopf, my wife, and Emily Gulmer, kind of taking the behind the scenes roles to make sure this is coming out to you the way we all expect and polishing up what we're doing here and keeping it timely. So again, the World of Ability podcast was started July 26, 2020. And that was in celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I got into the business of celebrating ADA through Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is the area that I live in out here, that I base all of my work in disability advocacy. We also have a disability advocacy radio show, Ability MK Now, on Wednesdays, coming out live through riverwestradio.com. And that's at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. But basically with the ADA celebrations, it came from my passion in water skiing. You know, I went out there to put boats in the water, ropes in the water, and skiers in the water, and was saying, hey, everybody, we got water skiing for you. I was looking for diverse ability athletes to ski on our sit skis, and it was a little bit of build it and they will come modality. And then I learned that there are logistical challenges and a marketing challenge. You know, we weren't reaching people at home and we weren't providing a plan for them to get to the waterways. So to kind of help circumvent the situation, I went to meetings in planning for the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I started Ability Fest, an event to showcase how people can live together and function together and make it for everybody, 100% of people. And it was such a fascinating experience for me and benefit to me personally. And with my family, with my wife, daughter, and I, and now wife, daughter, and dog, you know, we do this together, that everything we do is with everybody, for everybody, by everybody. We want to make sure we're open to everybody that comes our way. And what happened is it gave me the pathway to mutual aid networks, where we work in reciprocity and interdependence and how we co-create and co-produce our futures. And so this is a show where we keep in mind that 25% of our marketplace in the world are people with disabilities. So that means in the world of 7.8 billion people, there are 5.8 billion people that can join me, being the ones of us that don't as much identify as being a person with a disability, and to look to the other 2 billion people that through the work I do, I portray them as masters of ability. Right now, we have our engineer, Emily Gulmer. She is multitasking. She's over in an event called the Integral Autism Conference. It's going on all day. These are folks that aren't afraid to spend 12 hours or more of their Saturday to build out their life and to make their lives greater, and to help figure out this disconnect, this dysfunction between the disability community and the community of those of us that don't identify with a disability. So we're here in the gap. We stand in the gap to mitigate the circumstances and to build a greater future together. So I'm excited to be with 4 individuals who, in their own way, in their own discipline, have their way to build a greater future and to make an impact, as I was talking about, one person at a time. So I want to start right now with Bobby Clark. Bobby Clark comes to us saying, hey, unlock your financial potential. So we're going to dive into finances because, you know, it's the idea of what's paid gets done. And there's this economic situation. That's why we're working on mutual aid and the mutual aid network, because we're trying to figure out how we can help get people on a better financial path. And so, Bobby, I want you to come forward and tell us more about what is the key. What is the key, Bobby, that really sets you apart? What are you trying to do as a person, Bobby, to live up to your promise. When I say, Bobby, I'm ready to unlock my financial potential, what is it that makes me want to come to you, Bobby? Take it away, Bobby. Tell us about yourself, your pathway, and you are on mute. We're ready to hear you. Oh, but we're trying to help. There we go.
There we go. Can
sound
you hear
check,
me now?
Sound check. Here we go. Let's do it up.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kurt. It's a pleasure to be here to work with you once again. You know, we met at Happy Neighborhood Project networking events across the past year or so, and I was really impressed by the work that you've been doing, you and Emily and all the others have been doing with the Builders Network, and it's just a marvelous thing that you're doing, and you're helping a lot of people, and that was something that caught my attention. That you know, what I do is something very similar. Is I help people. And it just gives me a lot of energy and a lot of joy to see people when they're happy, when they're motivated, when they're uplifted. And I do that because I'm passionate about personal finance and what personal finance can do and the role that personal finance play in our lives. We can't hardly do anything nowadays without it being attached to some kind of expense or money or debt or whatever. So it has a huge impact on our lives. And when we're struggling or not doing well with our finances, it tends to impact our life in a negative way, not only our life, but also those that we interact with. So my goal is to help people achieve their financial goals with their day-to-day money, with their budgeting, with their saving, with their debt management, paying the bills on time, planning for vacation, planning for their kids to go to school or to college or wherever they may go, and ultimately enjoy them, being able to have some money set aside so they can enjoy themselves, not only just for 1 or 2 weeks or whatever, but just an overall happier and healthy holistic life, because money is really tied to everything that we do. And when we get the money part right, it's a game changer for what we do and how we interact with other people. So that's what I'm about, incorporating passion, trust, creating a safe place where a person can come and talk about their vision or even their struggles or their challenges with money, so that we can help them move past all of that and achieve their goal.
Excellent stuff, Bobby. Boy, that fit in there perfectly. I had no idea what you were going to say, but I'll tell you what, I couldn't have done a preparation with you before the show and had it come out any better, because there's a lot of linkages and ties to the other few gentlemen in this conversation. And so I want to go to Tom here, because again, I was building a premise of what's paid gets done. And Tom, you and I had talked, and you're so generous in the work that you do, and I appreciate it, because we have some pioneers here today. And Tom, yes, I think as a pioneer, you have your work cut out for you, and you know it. I've talked to you. You know that, you talk about unlock your financial potential by Bobby. I think of the term unleash, because what you and I shared, Tom, was that you're onto something here, that, the responses you're getting in our world has a chance to shift its paradigm. And there's some logistics, and there's, in this world that I'm in, that I come from, I adopted disability advocacy, and I was talking about functionality. And I referred to people with disabilities as the masters of ability. And what they opened my mind up to is that I'm 50 years old, and Lin is probably my biggest cheerleader, in celebrating that I'm 50 years old. He's excited for coming up here in this month. I'm going to be celebrating my first anniversary to being 50. But, there's this idea that for the first 40 years of my life, I thought I was really on track to amazing things, and I didn't realize how much I bypassed what maybe another person was telling me. And I think, Tom, that's a little bit of your message, because you talk about, like, at least in the US, like our healthcare systems and our colleges and our universities and our mass media. Like, I'm with the Disability Channel. I'm with you because there are things that our major media companies seem to be missing for us. And maybe working for them and building up monies and, paying their stockholders and some things on the financial side to look at Bobby's, looking at the money matters. But Tom, come in here and really set the stage for us in terms of who you are, how you got inspired to bring to the marketplace a remarkable modality for us to achieve our health needs and goals, and how that translates to other things in our life.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction. And I want to thank everybody for attending your time today. And I'll make this concise, and then I will answer a few of your questions. I work with energy. It's known as scalar energy. I don't work with electricity. Scalar energy, what some people call quantum energy. There's actually two energies. And I've developed scalar energy instruments. And in application, these instruments can perform incredible activity, incredible feats. And one technique that I've perfected with this scalar energy instrument is I can destroy a microbe. I can easily destroy a virus, a bacterium, or fungus. And it's a painless process. It's just by light, an administration of light. Now, I'm trying to get this technology out to the world, but mainstream media has stifled me. This is why I've turned to Kurt. Mainstream media is intimidated by this. There's no money in it for them. So I'm availing myself to this platform, and hopefully my work will be presented in this platform appropriately, so I can garner some type of interest for this new technology that can destroy a germ, a microbe. So with that said, my website is scalarlight.com, scalarlight.com. I will I'll place that in the chat if anybody wants to take a look at it. I offer anybody in the world 15 days of free sessions. You can go to the website and avail yourselves of 15 days of free Scalar Light sessions. And in so doing, you decide if this technology is of merit to you.
Excellent stuff, Tom. And another great segue. I mean, again, to have these guests all together and the natural segues between, well, Lin and Larry are working together, and then we have Bobby with his wheelhouse and Tom with his, but we just entered into the area of health. And I served as an EMT for 10 years, so over a decade of pre-hospital care. And so I'm very appreciative to, anything and everything that can be on the preventative side and kind of get over and above, what our hospitals are doing, the great work that our hospitals are doing. I used to be an IV tech and put those needles right into people's veins and, administer, the different medications, or, helping diabetic patients and so forth get their sugar levels up and stuff like this. But, today I'm very excited to have again Larry, that he's come to our show before, and he's been on our radio show, Ability MKE Now, and he's shared with us an interesting concern for the world of health, in terms of toxicity and pollution, and to really revisit, to reboot our appreciation of recycling. And so right on Larry's background and Lin's background too, they're sharing that they're a team together, and it's all about help Larry build a recycling factory in Africa. And of all things, in our busy lives, at least here in the US and so forth, we're so busy with stuff, we don't realize that, like with the clothes we wear, Larry comes to us through the fashion industry. So we're looking at the connection between our clothes and our health. And it's because of what we do or don't do with our clothes to keep the fabrics that are in our clothing out of our water supply, the chemicals that are in there and so forth. So Larry, can you start out again, in terms of your practice, being a fashion designer, and in your industry commitment, that as you influence people wearing clothes and what's being done, with our attire, when we're done with them, can you explain that whole thing and how you learned it, and how this is an all hands on deck initiative? I mean, hopefully everybody around the world has clothes. We're talking about basics here: food, shelter, and clothing. So we have to really think about clothing 7.8 billion people around the world, and then not having us, get ill or having cancers or having severe health problems because we're drinking water that has chemicals from our clothing. Take it away, Larry. Tell us more.
Yeah, thank you so much. And so I'm so happy that I have someone in the medical line, Mr. Tom. So who's gonna we will be able to understand what I'm going to be saying today. Now, in all different sectors, people have been working hard. For example, in the plastics sector, the automobile and construction sector, they've been coming with different ideas on how to reduce the carbon emission. But if you look at the fashion industry, it has been very, very underrated. Because, for example, in the food or food sector, if you produce something that is not good for the system, there's an organization that can sue you for that. Same as the medical sector. But now, if you find this same fast fashion, nobody, even though people still trying to say, okay, you know what, we need to stop this, or we need to reduce the kind of clothes you're buying or the production of the clothes. There's no one standard or regulation to stop this. Now, I was saying something the last time I was here. I made mention that the fashion industry is actually has almost 8 to 10 carbon emission in the world. That's a lot. Now, how does this really affect us? Apart from the emission, for example, the dyeing industry. When you dye the clothes, it goes into the river, it goes into the lake, and people go there to bring out all those fishes out. We cook them, we eat them. That's a lot of problem for human being. And I don't want us to forget that what's it called, or polyester. Because of the fast fashion, they want it, but most companies want to sell, they want to make more profits. And they've introduced this polyester. I think it started at 2000. Yeah, 2000. If I'm not wrong. And if you look at the combination of this polyester, the more you wear it, there are different kind of skins. There's a high tendency that it can also cause cancer. But people don't really know this. They are not really aware of this. Now, remember, Africa is where most of this product end up to. So it means when they produce all this product and they take them to US, Canada, Germany, they bring it down to Africa for us to use it. And it's causing a lot of havoc. It's causing a lot of low self-esteem. It's causing a lot of poverty mindset. And so it's a very broad thing. And how can we actually reduce? Because we can stop it. The only thing I feel that the materials on ground right now, the only way we can do is to start recycling and put a standard, let's have a standard organization like, hey, if you produce so materials in the industry, you're gonna be sued. That's the only way we can go. And because we can't stop people from buying, but what we have right now is enough for us to start recycling. If for example, I said something. I said just to recycle 1 kg of cotton materials, you need almost 20,000 liters of water, and that's a lot of water. So I would love to go more, but I just want to reduce. I don't want to say much about it, but it's something we need to come together to solve this problem. And thank you so much.
Excellent, Larry. Thank you. So, Lynn, I want you to come in here as our serial entrepreneur. I want you to describe how this story connected, that Larry was out there in Africa, doing this work, and you're over here in the US, how did you and Larry connect, and what did you all take on his project, and why are you involved, and what are you trying to do to help Larry build a recycling factory? And you are muted. Oh, Larry, you need to unmute, please. There we go.
Got it. Sorry. I was trying to keep my dog from barking too much and then interrupting the program. Anyway, so I met Larry, the same place I met you, Kurt, and the same place that that Bobby met you, at the Happy Neighborhood Project, and that's where I met Emily as well. I have, for all of my life, have always felt that I wanted to give back and find a cause that I could support. Okay. I support my church, and I've supported other things locally here in the Philadelphia area, such as our local hospital and the Philadelphia Orchestra. I'm passionate about classical music, but when I met Larry, and we did a one-on-one, as you often do, with people that you meet at the Happy Neighborhood Project. His project really sort of tugged at my heartstrings. The fact of the matter is that when he started talking about the clothing and the way the clothing gets dumped into the rivers and the lakes or decomposes on the ground, only 30% of what we sell and we send rather gets worn, and the rest of it is just sits there to decompose and contaminate the environment. And then he started explaining to me how part of the end result is that there's an increase in the incidence of cancer, and especially with young people. And I think that, we all know that many African nations are poor and they can't help themselves. But why don't we step in and help them? And the more we talked, the more his program resonated with me. His experience of having 10 years in the fashion industry, having been educated and then working in India, his desire to build a recycling factory and have some of the profits go to educate young Africans in the to be able to be designers of clothing, so that they'd be able to create products that could be exported to create additional income for their countries. And the fact that he actually was on a mission to learn more about where to create a recycling factory. When COVID hit, he got stuck in Uganda, and basically couldn't even get home to see his dad, who has had a stroke, lost his mother a number of years ago. And I said to myself, here's a young man that needs help. And I committed, and there are a couple of other people who've committed with me to start a GoFundMe campaign to help raise the initial capital to start the process, so that Larry ultimately can create the recycling factory to take clothing that's just laying there. See, this is actually Larry's backyard that you're looking at. I just took a picture of it and put it behind me. But the point is, this is what it looks like in Larry's backyard, or in many of the backyards of people in Africa. And they walk through this stuff or around this stuff to go down to the rivers and wash their own clothing, or drink the water. The water goes into the groundwater. And I said, there has to be a way here for us to reach out and help Larry with his recycling factory, which has a myriad of different possibilities of helping people in different ways in Africa. And that's sort of how it happened, Kurt. sort of how it happened.
Yep. So yeah, wonderful culmination of what we have here as we're coming out on this the World of Ability podcast. And Bobby, I want to go over to you. We're seeing, with the idea to help Larry build a recycling factory in Africa. Lynn helped Larry set up this QR code that we see here that's connected with the GoFundMe account. And so the call to action is to donate. And so, Bobby, you're on the financial planning side of things, and where does the role of philanthropy and people wanting to tithe and to donate, and how do you help people, maybe temper their appetite to donate, make sure they're not missing things that they need to take care of in their own financial house? Speak to that a little bit. It's something we all have to consider, and how do you handle it, Bobby?
Well, one of the things that I talk to with my clients about that is being intentional with your money. That means that you put your money where you are focused on. You direct your money to your passions. When you do that, and also not only that, but your values. That's where your peace of mind and that's where your happiness is, within your values. And when you direct your money to your values and the thing that you are passionate about, then it will just give you an overall feeling of success inside. So what I say is build when you put your spending plan together, incorporate your values of what's important to you into your spending plan, so that your money will go toward the things that mean the most to you, and not toward things that may be impromptu or spur of the moment type spending, or you just go buy something and you realize next day or whatever that you don't like what you bought. But just be intentional about where your money goes. Know what's coming in each income period. Know where it's going. Know when it's going out, and make sure that you are spending less than you take in. And when you do that kind of things, Kurt and the rest of the guests, when you do that, you're on the right road to focus. So within my coaching strategy, I call it refocus, which is focus on the thing that's important to you, your values, your passions, the things that your needs, your wants, and things like that. As you go down the list, gain control of your spending. Know what's coming in. Know when it's time to go out. Pay your bills on time. Have a plan, and then you set a plan. You set a goal. This is what I want my money to do for me. This is where I want to go with my money. And when you do that, you're on the right path to achieve some amazing results. You would probably, no doubt, break some bad habits, create some stronger foundations about how you use your money, and you can see the results in a very short period of time. Maybe within weeks or months, you can start seeing the results and the fruit of your labor because you are being intentional with your money. So that's what I would say, do.
Excellent stuff, Bobby. It's working really well in this conversation. And, I say etymology is very interesting, and the English language is ever so amazing. So let's look at this conversation that we've unpacked here in the last half of this show, and let's look at a couple words of our English language. Let's look at the word wealth, and let's look at how many people before my saying this have played with this idea about how in the word wealth is health, and health is like all but one letter of the word wealth, and how that all fits together. So Tom, come in here and again, bring out some more of your passion and work you're doing, Tom, and you're providing a free offering. 15 days to just dive in and take a look at it. Because if people don't get, this scalar, energy element and resource that you're bringing forward, after the 15 days or in any amount of days, it doesn't matter if we don't get it. So you're in education about scalar energy. Tell us more about it and how you see it working in people's lives and how the people that you're serving, kind of what their lives have become because of being with you.
I appreciate that. Can we do a screen share? I want to show one of the instruments. Can we do that?
Yeah, the screen share feature is open. You bet.
Let's see if this will bring up. Can we see that, people?
Yeah. Looks like you're making something here.
That's one of the scalar energy instruments I use. That's a Tesla instrument, or what some people might call quantum energy. That instrument can broadcast light, scalar light, into a person or animal and destroy any virus, destroy any bacterium, destroy any fungus. We've been able to use that instrument to destroy the herpes virus or hepatitis virus. We can use that instrument to destroy a fungus or a bacterium. And I'm willing, I have a website dedicated to that purpose. And if you, again, look at the website I've offered, scalarlight.com, anybody in the world is entitled to 15 days of free session. And I would love to work with Larry and Lin and start working with the people in Africa because they don't have health care. I can offer them, everybody in Africa, 15 days of free session. Now, what does that mean? Well, health is wealth. In order to work, in order to go to school, and in order to function properly, you need sound health. Well, these instruments that I've developed can eradicate microbes. Anything from malaria, HIV to cholera can be addressed. So everybody has my website. Take me up on my offer. You think about this, you pray upon it, then you approach me. If you think you want to work with me, approach me. The sessions are free. This will not cost you anything. Thanks, Kurt.
You're welcome, Tom. So, all right. So for the next segment of World of Ability podcast here, what we're going to do is we're going to enter into a little bit of engagement. We're going to participate with each other's projects, with each other's wheelhouse. And so I'm going to get, there's 4 of us here. So the other 3 of you are going to comment, towards the other person. So Bobby, I want to start with you a little bit. I kind of got you started a little bit just in terms of general philanthropy and donating, but Bobby, let's come in here and let's comment a little bit more specifically about what you heard from Larry and Lin. And as Lin pointed out, we all met each other through the Happy Neighborhood Project. But Bobby, why don't you give a little bit of your perspective as you are learning about what Larry's doing and what Lin's helping with? What's your viewpoint, vantage point? How are you taking this recycling factory project? And, what's your message to our audience here about this idea to help Larry build that recycling factory? What are you thinking? And you are muted again, Bobby. There you go.
Okay, there you go. Listening to Larry and Lin and Tom, it kind of like reminds me of my background. I haven't always been in financial coaching. I spent about 25 years in research chemistry. And when I see, you're talking about recycling, that has a kin to chemistry. Tom is talking about eradicating bacteria and changing molecules and things like that. That's related to chemistry also. So, I know the amount of work that you guys are doing is valuable work. I know that it's not easy. The challenges with anything like what you're doing, it's a long process. It could take years or decades to get where you really want to go, but you have to keep plugging away. And I think you're doing the right thing by sharing your message. I think you're doing the right thing by coming on this platform, what Kurt has allowed us to come on and share your story, and share your message about what you're doing and how valuable that your work is, because ultimately what we're all doing is we're trying to improve the quality of life on this earth. And that's a charge that we all have. When we are born, we have to have, we're here for a reason.
You're right.
We're here to do something.
You're right.
And what we're doing, all of us, is changing lives, maybe one person at a time, one day at a time. But if we continue to do that, we will make a difference in this world. We will change things, and people will be better for all the work that we are trying to do here.
Bravo. Good for you, Bob.
Good
Bravo.
stuff. So Lynn, I want to bring you in here. You wear many hats in life. I believe it's like grandfather, serial entrepreneur, you know, and you're helping with great projects like what Larry's got. And Lynn, I want you to think of some commentary as you heard Tom speak of his scalar energy technology and this realm of health and so forth. Lynn, you're muted. Can you come unmuted and then share with us a little bit of what your take is on scalar energy?
Well, actually, it's fascinating. If you go back, there was a guy by the name of Nicholas Tesla who actually created the ability to be able to generate electricity over the airwaves. And of course, the good financier J.P. Morgan and Thomas Edison sort of put him out of business. But what Tom is doing here is very similar to that, and I can appreciate the fact that a lot of people don't want to hear what Tom has to say because they're not going to make money doing what he's doing. Well, it's sort of similar. If Larry recycles clothing, then maybe less clothing is going to have to be produced. And people may, he'll be producing clothing from clothing, okay? He'll be taking it down to the fibers and producing it. And so it's sort of in a similar position to Tom. Larry is going to create maybe an industry that is going to cut into what, some of the companies like Nike and like, I don't even worry about clothes, so I'm not even sure I can tell you all the clothing companies. But the point is that Larry's going against the grain, just as Tom is. And what Bobby's doing is going against the grain as well, because the truth of the matter is, if you go to some of the big financing companies, they just want to sell you. They want to sell you stocks. They want to make their commissions. They're not really concerned about where you're going to end up at the end, as long as you buy their product and they make their commissions. So I think you got 4 people here, 5, because I should include you, and of course 6 and 7 with Sue and Emily. But the truth of the matter is, we're all actually going against the grain, Kurt.
Exactly.
Yeah, and by the way, I won't tell you what anniversary of my 50th birthday it is, but that's okay.
All right. That's
I
good.
love it.
That's what we say in the business is the tease. You got everybody wondering. Everybody's at home taking guesses. How old is that guy? I have got no idea. All right. So Larry, we're going to go over to you. With what you're trying to do in the fast fashion industry, and you've got this ulterior altruistic motivation to have good responsibility towards people's health, that you want to produce something that's responsible. And Lynn and others are helping you on the financial side for donation and so forth. Speak a little bit, Larry, to there's a world of people out there that serve the financial component for people like Bobby and Bobby himself here, are kind of handling that area. So Larry, what are your thoughts here? Is you're, for sure making a financial ask, and, a recycling factory is not cheap. tell us a little bit more about the thoughts financially that have come into it for you. And what are your thoughts for Bobby, as you heard him as part of our show today? Take it away, Larry.
Okay. Actually, I didn't really get the question so tight. Let me just go in a brief. The financial or the actually funds I've been getting right now, people have not really been donating like this, just like Mr. Tom said, or what Mr. Lin said. People don't go for things that's really going to benefit of the whole world. They just want to do something that's going to be just for them alone. Now, in this project, once it's just like a pendulum. Once we get it started, it's something that can stand on its own. And the main reason is that we have all the materials already, and we have all the cheap labor in Africa to sustain it. And secondly, when we start producing, there's always a good income that's going to come out from it, which we can start. So it's sustainable. And I want to use this opportunity to say, Mr. Tom, I might not be able to work with you today, but I'm going to work with you very soon. There's
Okay.
there's a lot of we need you in Africa. Trust me, it's not just about the money, but we need people like you to come in with this project this project you're working with. And I think I can't really say much about that.
I can help you right now. And
Okay.
maybe you and I should have a conversation. That
Okay.
instrument that I showed you works with a photograph. This is Tesla energy. It's not Newtonian physics. It's a different type of technology. That instrument works with photographs. I treat people around the world because a photograph has a signal. And just as a cell phone can modulate a signal, a photograph has a signal. I've been treating people from Africa by way of photographs. So I want you to keep in touch with me because I could help people right away in Africa overcome malaria, HIV, hepatitis. You need a healthy workforce in order to run a recycling plant.
Definitely.
Here, I'm gonna type in my personal email. Get in touch with me. I really appreciate what you're doing for Africa. I do so much work pro bono in Africa. We've treated thousands of people, actually millions now. I treat every week I receive collages from Africa, thousands of photographs from Africa. We've treated millions of people in Africa already. Get in touch with me. That's my personal email. That's my personal email.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Bobby, as we come up into the last quarter of the hour here, I like to really focus on what are we giving our listeners and our viewers, our audience as takeaways. I really like to have that resourcefulness and that knowledge commons coming out, and for people to be able to act, as we know in business and in many things in life, it's that four-stage process people go through: attention, interest, desire, and then action. So this is the action element of our show. And again, we're talking about the Happy Neighborhood Project, Bobby. I want to give you an opportunity to share more about HNP, Happy Neighborhood Project, the Happy Co-op, how you found it, why you keep doing it with us, and then that opportunity for our audience. So basically be the ambassador of HNP and tell our audience how they can join us at the Happy Neighborhood Project. Take it away, Bobby.
Well, as you know, Kurt, the Happy Neighborhood Project is a huge networking organization, and it's founded on working with people, helping people. It's founded on sharing your talents and doing what you can to make another business owners successful in business. And I'm not sure how I found a Happy Neighborhood Project, but I did attend one of their networking sessions. And I was just blown away by the camaraderie, the friendship, the willingness of everybody there to share and to help. And when I experienced that, I knew that this was a place that I want to spend some time with, to not only get to meet other great people, build my business, and also help others build their businesses or whatever they are doing or whatever they are sharing. So I was so involved and so happy about this thing and so fired up about it that I decided to apply for a co-host. So for the past year, I've been co-hosting the South Georgia Happy Neighborhood Project sessions every Friday morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You all are always welcome, as you know, with any other networking session that sponsored by Happy Neighborhood Project. So, but South Georgia, great folks down there. I'm in South Georgia, Savannah, Georgia area. We meet every Friday at 10 a.m. and I would love to see all you guys come and just share what you're doing, because you're doing some awesome work. Also, Kirk, just for those that are listening today, what I do offer is a free assessment sessions for all those who reach out to me. They just say Happy Neighborhood Project in an email. You can go to my website, clarkonmoney.com, or you can either go find me on LinkedIn and just request a free assessment session. And we can spend 30 minutes together answering any questions that you may have about your personal finances or anything else that you may be struggling with.
Excellent. Good stuff, Bobby. Thank you for your leadership in all of this and everything that you do. Lynn, I want to go over to you a little bit. I want you to be able to make a few remarks about HMP, building off of what Bobby said, and then also some ideas about if they're liking the project and how you're helping Larry, and if you can kind of give some ways that people can find the project about the recycling factory and contacting you if they'd like to reach out to you, Lynn. How do they do that?
Well, first of all, HMP is a great organization because you have a plethora of different meetings each week. You can go. I've developed friends, and not only did I meet Larry, but I've met other people from Africa, a lot of people from Europe, people from Australia. Occasionally, I see you in Australia, Kurt. It's a fun trip, and it really is a great organization. Developing relationships maybe is the best thing that I can say about HMP. You don't necessarily do business with somebody the first time you talk to them, or the second or the third or the fourth, but you develop relationships. And that's what's so wonderful. I developed a relationship with Larry, which is how I got involved in this. I developed a relationship with Travis Robbins, and Travis Robbins, whom you may know from HMP, is also actively involved with us in the recycling project, okay? And there are a few other people that we've met from HMP that are also involved. But the call to action, and I do want to call to action for Larry's recycling project, we are trying to, the program is going to be done in 3 phases, okay? The plant will not be built in phase 1. That's phase 2, and then into phase 3. But in phase 1, what we're trying to do is get the whole project started, bringing stuff in from India, where Larry will go back to India and work with already existing recycling program that exists there. But he needs the money to be able to import the stuff into Africa and then get it sold and then use the profits from that to create the factory. So what I'd like to do is ask people, give what you can, $5, $10, $15, $100, whatever the number happens to be, but go to the LarryRowbs, ROBS, or WBS, I'm sorry, LarryRowbs Recycling Initiative on GoFundMe. It's also, and I will put that in the chat. Do you publish the chat, Kurt? Do people on YouTube see what's in the chat?
Yeah, Sue and Emily will be working in post-production to extract all of the details that we want our audience to know. So yes, by their work.
Well, I did put it in before, but I'll put it in again. And we invite people to go and help us. And, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. I like to tell that to Larry because Larry's he's very excited about what he wants to do and he wants it to be finished yesterday. Rome wasn't built in a day. So we got to throttle him down and say, we got to take everything one step at a time. And the truth of the matter is that one step at a time is getting people to join us and contribute to the GoFundMe campaign and help us get this project underway. So I think that's it, Kurt.
All right, very good, Lynn. Thank you very much. So yeah, this is culminating very nicely here at World of Ability Podcast. Larry, I want to give you a chance here to have your final remarks for our audience. Any other takeaways, any other information on top of what Lynn said, and just any last comments by you, Larry. Take it away.
Okay, yeah, thanks all. So I want everybody to know that this resource or this or project is not just for African alone, it's for the world, because when we solve the problem here, it also gets there. It's just like a stone. When you throw a stone, I mean, there's a way it gets back to you. That's the way, because the whole climate change and that is actually happening everywhere. It's not just happening, you know, it's from a place to a place, everything comes together. So it's all our responsibility, like I do say, and we don't have to look at, okay, it's just Africa. No, it's the world. So let's come together, let's do something together, and then let's make this project come to life, because when I start, other people are also going to start, and you know, it's like we're solving a problem. And thank you so much. Bye.
Absolutely, Larry. Our pleasure. So thanks for being here. And so Tom, we have a handful of minutes. Yeah, I want to make sure you have a chance to make sure our audience has all details and everything you came here to share. And any last thoughts by you, Tom? Take it away.
I just thank everybody for your time. I'm going to be in touch with all of you. I included my email and my website. Don't be bashful. Reach out to me. I'm writing down your phone numbers as we speak. God bless everybody. You're all dear to God's heart. You know, you care about people. That's the important thing. There's too much greed in this world. So thank you all for being unique and being good shepherds, and if you will, being humanitarians, good people. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome, Tom. Thanks for being here, and thanks for everything you do, and for being on strong footing and being a pioneer, Tom, that can help us shift. Because with your project successful, Tom, I think it's going to go a long ways in and out of your project. Because I think of in my wheelhouse as I've taken on to be in disability services. Let's think of in the USA. Let's think of Medicaid and Medicare. And let's look at scalar energy and what it could be for all of the Americans served through Medicare and Medicaid, and the challenge that our congressional leaders have to bring in and look at tax dollars. To look at with our tax dollars, we don't really have a solid process to look at, how alternatives, can be applied. And I happen to have gone to Chicago, a little bit of a tangent, a little bit. I don't want to make this reflecting Tom's wheelhouse, but when I hear Tom, bring scalar energy, the last decade of my life has really opened up my scientific background. Back in school days, I received the Bausch and Lumb Science Award. And, I've taken on physics, in college and so forth. And I studied electrical and computer engineering. And at the University of Wisconsin-Madison Engineering School, there's a basic, I forget what the number was, but it was like engineering, 108 or something. And you go into Bascom Hall and you know, the engineer professor was up in the front and talking about, you know, my discipline was electrical and computer engineering. So on the electrical engineering side, to look at, you know, like telephone towers, and to look at satellites, and to look at, you know, now what comes to be with cell phones, how they're out there, the 5G networks, and all this energy that is put into our bodies and run through our cells. And you look at the atomic construction of matter, you know, you look at, you know, neutrons, protons, electrons. And when you really look at it, you know, we are balls of energy. And, you know, Tom's bringing up photographs. You know, how often have you said in your life, you maybe looked at somebody and said, wow, that person is photogenic. You can feel the energy in that photo. From people at HMP, we take halftime photos, you know, spreading happiness around the world. We do that through photos. So again, not reflecting Tom's work and not meant to be an explanation, but just, you know, life experiences that can kind of pique our curiosity and get us learning from Tom. And that's where I'm at. You know, like I say, I don't feel like I'm in a position to explain everything for Tom. That's why it's great that he's here. And Tom told me that he is on a mission to be on many shows. So if any of you out there know of shows that Tom could go on to share more about scalar energy, let us know. And Emily and I are working on helping Tom be aware of other shows out there that he could go on, reach new audiences, because that's the key. When you have something that you got to play the law of large numbers. You know, I was taught that in the insurance industry, the law of large numbers. And you know, if you reach enough people, you have predictable results. And that's what we want. We want that predictably, this element of scalar energy will get out there. And Bobby, thanks for being on here and talking the financial side, and Larry and Lynn for your project. So that'll do it for today. Again, I'm Kurt Roskopf, host, founder, and creator of the World of Ability podcast. And very pleased that it is evolved with our partners, the World of Ability Podcast Network. And for sure, off our platform with the Disability Channel, founded and headquartered out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And what an element right there, pioneering, disrupting the mass media industry, saying, hey, if you're in the mass media industry, what about getting people with disabilities involved at such a larger scale with what we bring out there in mass media, and to be able to share the message with folks like Tom and Bobby and Larry and Lynn. And so that's a little bit of what we do here. And I try to help people at the Happy Neighborhood Project and their marketing plans be able to take a little media twist in what they do. And I have a little ulterior motive with the Happy Neighborhood Project to get about 22 podcasters and people involved in TV and video production, and really have a tremendous multimedia and mass media production that's made possible through collaborations at HMP. A big thanks to the PAC channel. And that's based out of Colorado. And so they take these programs and put it out on their network. And then we have Transform U Media Network, takes our shows as well. So we'll be dressing up the recording and sharing the YouTube and getting it out there. And please do react to our shows and put in a little comment in there, participate in this conversation, and help us shape the future of this production here with the World of Ability. Again, the World of Ability is for everybody. It's about helping make sure that whatever our discipline is, whatever our pursuit is, whatever role in life we play, that we ask ourselves, if we're a person with a disability, how well are we helping those understand our functionality and to make the world work better for us as a person with a disability? Or if we're a person that doesn't have a disability, are we learning from, as I would say, the masters of ability? And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns on what we did today, if you're in the USA or want to make a USA call or text me, that would be at 262-372-1SKI. That's 262-372-1754. And I'm available on WhatsApp, the +1 for the USA, +1 414-514-0186. And with the radio show, AbilityMKnow@gmail.com, or on the TV side, Kurt, K-U-R-T, at thedisabilitychannel.us. Thanks for being with us, and that's it for now. See you next time.